for that. Let's take a look at a biological function of lipids. So what do lipids do? Why are lipids important? What are lipids? What's another word for that a lot of people like to use? All right, so fats are one type of lipid. Another type of lipid I am sure you've heard of. Steroids are also lipids. Right? So fats are a specific kind of lipid, but oil might be another one. Right? So fats are kind of lipid. So why are they important? All right. So number one, they're important for food. As you know, fats can store a lot of food. They're the way we store energy. When you eat too much energy, your body is preparing for days you don't have energy, you store it as fat. Those of us that are fat, we're more protected against times of starvation than those of you that are thin. Thin people during times of starvation will have a hard time surviving. People that are bigger will have more mass to survive those times of drought or what have you. This is an evolutionary advance. This is a way that your body, you have to understand, only in the past, maybe 150, 200 years, have we had excess food available all the time. Supermarkets weren't always around. Most of life on Earth has to go find its food. And some days, a lot of days, things have to go without. Does that make sense to you? So creatures on this planet have evolved to store food, energy, for those times when you had to go without. Your males of the village could not find the beast to hunt. The females could not have gathered enough nuts or fruits. It's a drought. A plague has come across. The locusts have come out and have eaten all the foods. I don't know. Whatever the situation is, there's a period of starvation. That's why, for most of human history, it was only the rich were fat. For most of human history, if you were fat, you were looked on as beautiful. You can look at your Reuben. Look up Rubenesque. Reuben, R-U-B-E-N, a famous painter of the Middle Ages. Look at his women. All of them are fat, and all of them were the source of beauty. In traditional cultures, being fat is a good thing. Why is that? Why do you think that happens? Yeah. Exactly. They're more likely to survive. They have more resources. So that's someone you want to hang with because they got plenty of food. Because we're talking about starving or not starving. Understand that. Now the problem is our society's changed. I wish you'd stop giggling. Try to grow up. It's okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. Just try to grow up. You might make someone feel uncomfortable. We're having this discussion. If you're laughing and giggling, they might be thinking you're just laughing about something else. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So when we're talking about being fat, in most traditional cultures, being fat's a good thing. Talk to your grandmothers and grandfathers. I mean, it's attractive. Right? And the reason that is that this is the main reason we put food away, because in most of our history as humans, there were times where we were going to get hungry. There might come a time in your life where there might be starvation. Those people that are larger will survive better than those that are not as large. The problem is our society's changed, and we have excess food available. Food's too easy to get, and it requires very little effort to get it. So now you have the same. It took 10, 50, 100,000 years to evolve what we got today. Your genes took a long time to evolve to where we are. Only in the last 100 years have we changed the environment. So now you have excess food. You as humans have to adapt to that and eat less food. Otherwise, you'll get so large you won't be able to function. Right? The 600-pound life or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. If that's the case, you have to make some changes. Does that make sense? Yeah. But understand, it's not that this is a reaction, this is a result of society making changes. Had we been living 150 years ago, there would be no 600-pound person. Because that guy would have to walk 10 miles to go get the food. Right? And have to spend all day, and then you have to go and cook it. So the world has changed. Unfortunately, those of us that are left here have to change in order to fit the reality. But there's thousands of years of evolution that lead us. And so the obesity epidemic we have in this country is not really that surprising. Food's easier to get. You have to do less to eat to get it. They're higher in calories. Everything you eat is higher in calories. It used to be you would cook a meal, there'd be a broad sources of food on the table. Today you get a hamburger, it's mostly what? Saturated fat. And there's not enough fat in the burger, so what do? You put mayonnaise on it, which is fat. And you put salt on it. And then you put some tomatoes maybe, some lettuce maybe. And you put it between two pieces of bread, which is sugar. So you got a burger that's just sugar and fat, pure energy. What most people in the past, that's 2,000, some of these burgers are 2,000 calories. That's a day's worth of calories. And someone will eat it in one sit down. They still got dinner coming, and they're going to be hungry at dinner. All right, so fat, biological fuels. Hormones are another one. Lipids act as hormones. What hormones? What's a hormone? Insulin. What's another hormone? So let's put down that lipids. Lipids act as energy source. As a source. And of course, therefore, as storage. We store excess energy there as fat or as lipids. Are we clear? What's another one? Hormones. And one of the hormones we talked about was insulin.
Does that say source right there?
Yes. Source, yeah. S-O-U-R-C-E.
Source of who?
Storage.
Oh, storage.
Hormones, insulin. And then what's the other? Insulin and what else? What's another hormone that you know of? What's a hormone? Testosterone. What's another one? Estrogen. Now, testosterone is a steroid, but steroids are hormones, right? So that's hormones. What are hormones? Hormones are regulatory molecules, right? Regulatory molecules. Now, I have to say, these are examples of hormones, but actually insulin's a protein. So you can write down insulin's a protein in your notes, right? But testosterone and estrogen are examples of lipids that are hormones. Oh, man. So hormones can be protein or lipids. What are you doing? You're revising your notes, right? Mm-hmm. Revising your notes. Your 6 R's. All right, so hormones. Those are just molecules that regulate your body. They turn something on or turn something off. And hormones are very general. A hormone will do in one tissue on your heart, it will do one thing. In your brain, it will do another. In your liver, it'll do a third. So when you take anabolic steroids, testosterone, let's say, because you want to grow muscle, it will make your muscles grow bigger and stronger. That's true. It will also make, if you're a male, it will make your testicles shrink. And when you stop using it, it'll stimulate your breast tissue to grow. And you'll grow breasts. 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 So there are, hormones are general stimulant. It's not one for one. It's not like push a button, you grow muscle and that's all. It'll do all kinds of things. And lastly, they are structural components of one specific place that you will need to know very well. And that is the plasma membrane. You're going to get to know this one very well. So those are the three functions of lipids. All right, you finish this tonight for homework and be ready to come in tomorrow and hit it hard. We want to finish lipids and carbohydrates and get ready and do some more review for the exam. Have a good day. So we talked about the biological, last time we met, we talked about biological functions of lipids, and we talked about them being involved in plasma membranes, which we'll get into very after this next unit exam, next quarter. We're going to get into the cells, into that, and into the various processes of each of the organelles. So when we look at important functions, though, of lipids, they're a concentrated energy source, and the word concentrate is important here. There's a reason why fat is used as a storage form of energy, because it's really it's a concentrated way of storing energy for when you need it. Phospholipids this is a plasma membrane. This is the membrane of a cell. We're going to get into it very deeply. You're going to build one in this class, in a model or in a project. And plasma membranes are made of lipids, specific kinds of lipids called phospholipids, and we'll get into that. Waxes are found everywhere. You know this. Wax, the cuticle. Those of you who have cuticles, you can see that waxy. You ever get that little waxy film on your nail, on the base of your nail? Right. That's a wax you make. Plants make a wax. Waxes we make because they're very hydrophobic. Or rather, they are nonpolar, right? So they don't let water through. That's why there's beads of water here. It doesn't get soaked into the leaf. It doesn't let water out, though, does it? Remember, plants take water up through what structure? The roots. They don't take water into their leaves. They take it up through their roots. Fat absorbs shock. Organs that are prone to bumps, if you think about it, think of a boxing match, right? Somebody keeps punching somebody. Why doesn't their liver get damaged? Why don't their kidneys get damaged? That's because they have a layer of protection to protect it against shock. Layer of fat is like a cushion, a pillow, so that their organs are protected. Of course, you hit them enough and you can do damage. That's why in boxing, kidney shots are thought of as kind of low blows. So waxes, phospholipids from membranes, absorbing shock is shock. You can produce water by breaking down. Why? Because what happens when you break down biomolecules? What do you make? Right? When you build molecules up. When you do respiration, you make water. I don't know if you don't know this yet because we haven't done it. But when we metabolize fats, when we metabolize sugar, we actually make water. We produce it. So when camels, they store fat in these humps. They don't store water. A lot of people think they store water here. They don't store water. That's fat, which makes it good if you're riding a camel because that's a nice cushion for you. But this is... Yeah, no problem. No, I called home.
Yesterday too, right?
Yesterday, I called home, and the phone number and I put in Jupiter. I called home about it because he's going to fail the course.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to not skipping my class work here.
Yeah, and he's skipping. He's not.
No, I wanted to confirm he is.
Well, I called home. I said, there's no way of contacting folks because folks' phone number says that they're not accepting phone calls. So, I mean, I think we need to write this up and turn it
I've
in the
been logging
office.
everything, so.
Yeah, he's not been showing up. I don't know what else to do.
All right, thank you, sorry.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so stored lipids provide insulation. So as a fat guy, I always hated the summer. Sweated like a you wouldn't believe. But winter, I love the winter. And the skinny people, the ones that laughed at me in the summer, I was laughing at them in the winter because I'm walking. Wind's blowing, they're shivering, they're turning blue, and I'm just standing there like, weakling. And so, anyways, fat is a good insulator. And in fact, animals like seals and whales, they put all their fat on the outside of their muscles, so that it actually acts as a great insulator. So that's why we call it blubber, because their blubber, all their fat's on the outside of their muscles, etc. Our fat as mammals, they kind of get integrated into our muscles and our organs, but they keep all their fat on the outside. So they're actually very healthy, even though they're fat. If they didn't have that blubber, they'd freeze to death. If you fell in their water where they spend most of their lives, if you fell in that water, you would freeze to death in minutes. All right? No human would be able to survive the water that they swim in every day. So now you can explain how fats can provide animals with energy, water, insulation. Explain why marine animals, whales, and seals have thick layers of fat or blubber surrounding their bodies. You should be able to explain that as a function of fat, as the properties of fat. And also you should be able to explain why, oils and waxes and other water repelling. Why? Because they're lipids, and lipids are nonpolar. Give 2 examples in animals and plants where this property would be useful. So think about in animals and plants where having waxy coverings would be useful. Phospholipids have a polar head and nonpolar tail. Explain how this allows them spontaneous. Okay, so this part here, we're not going to cover till after your unit exam. I know it's weird. A lot of people try to cover it all at once. I find it more useful to talk about the molecules separately and then put them all together. In my mind, that works better. So don't worry about it. We will cover this after this unit. Is everybody okay with that so far? So that's the general function of lipids.